Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 7, The Killing of the Demon Trinavarta. Text number 7. Adhaha Shayanasya Shishor Ano Alpaka Adhashayanasya Shishor Anolpaka Prabala Mrudu Angri. This Mrudu and Angri, when combined, will become Mrudhangri. That's why in the words you see Mrudhu, Mrud. Actually, it is combined with Mrudvangri. But splitting Mrudu Angri. Mrudu Angri Hatam Vyavartata Pravala Mrudvangri Hatam Vyavartata Vidhvasta Nana Rasa Kupya Bhajanam Vidhvastanana Rasakupya Bhajanam Vyatyasta Chakraksha Vibhinna Kubaram Vyatyastya Chakraksha Vibhinna Kubaram Adhashayanasya Shoranolpaka Prabala Mrudvangri Hatam Vyavartata Vidhvastanana Rasakupya Bhajanam Vyatyasta Chakraksha Vibhinna Kubaram. Adhashayanasya Shishoranolpaka Pravala Mrudvangri Vivartata Vidhvastanana Rasakupya Bhajanam Vyatyasta Chakraksha Vibhinna Kubaram. Adhashayanasya Shishoranolpaka Pravala Mrudvangri Hatam Vyavartata Vidhvastanana Rasakupya Bhajanam Vyatyasta Chakraksha Vibhinna Kubaram. Adhashayanasya Shishoranolpaka Pravala Mrudvangri Hatam Vyavartata Vidhvastanana Rasakupya Bhajanam Vyatyasta Chakraksha Vibhinna Kubaram. Adhashayanasya, who was put underneath the hand cart, Shishoho of the child, Anaha, the cart, Alpaka, not very much grown, Prabala, just like a new leaf, Mrudu Angrihatam, struck by his beautiful, delicate legs. Vyavartata, turned over and fell down. Vidhvasta, scattered. Nana rasakupya bhajanam, utensils made of various metals. Vyatyasta, dislocated. Chakra aksha, the two wheels and the axle. Vibhinna, broken. Kubaram, the pole of the handcart. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Lord Sri Krishna was lying down underneath the handcart in one corner of the courtyard. And although his little legs were as soft as leaves, Pravala means leaf. So his legs were very tiny, soft, and like a very delicate leaf. When he struck the cart with his legs, it turned over violently and collapsed. The wheels separated from the axle, the hubs and spokes fell apart, and the pole of the handcart broke. On the cart, there were many little utensils made of various metals. What is that? What's going on there? Huh? Hindi class. Okay, so how can we have simultaneously that and this? I am able to clearly hear what is being spoken there. And whether they'll be able to hear their class properly if I speak. I'm speaking into the mic. You have to seal that portion on top where AV Hall is written. Sorry. Kindly repeat this translation. Lord Sri Krishna was lying down underneath the handcart in one corner of the courtyard, and although his little legs were as soft as leaves, when he struck the cart with his legs, it turned over violently and collapsed. The wheels separated from the axle. The hubs and spokes fell apart, and the pole of the handcart broke. On the cart, there were many little utensils made of various metals. and all of them scattered hither and thither. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has commented on this verse as follows. When Lord Krishna was of a very tender age, his hands and legs resembled soft new leaves. Yet, simply by touching the hand cart with his legs, he made the cart fall into pieces. It is quite possible for him to act in this way and yet not exert himself very much. The Lord in his Vamana Avatara had to extend his foot to the greatest height to penetrate the covering of the universe. And when the Lord killed the gigantic demon Hiranyakashipu, he had to assume the special bodily feature of Nrisimhadeva. But in his Krishna Avatara, the Lord did not need to exert such energy. Therefore, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, even when he is in the form of a child. In other incarnations, the Lord had to exert some energy according to the time and circumstances. But in this form, he exhibited unlimited potency. Thus the handcart collapsed, its joints broken, and all the metal pots and utensils scattered. The Vaishnava Toshani remarks that although the handcart was higher than the child could easily touch the wheel of the cart, and this was sufficient to send the demon down to the earth. The Lord simultaneously pushed the demon to the earth and superficially broke the handcart. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Jnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this chapter is entitled The Killing of the Demon Trinavarta. But in this chapter, which is the 7th chapter of the 10th canto, Srila Shukadeva Goswami describes 3 pastimes of the baby Krishna. The first pastime that is being described is the killing of the demon Shakatasura, a demon who had appeared in the form of a cart. Shakata means cart. And the killing of the demon Trinavarta, another demon who appeared in the form of a whirlwind. And the third pastime described as Krishna showing within his mouth when Mother Yashoda was breastfeeding him, Small child. He showed the entire universe within his mouth. So these three pastimes are described in this chapter. So this chapter begins with Parikshit Maharaj telling Shukadeva Goswami, after hearing the wonderful Leela of infant Krishna, Shishu. Shishu means just born. Maybe a 10-day-old child killed the demoness Putana, simply by sucking out her life air. Prana. Pranavayu. So, Parikshit became very inquisitive to hear more childhood pastimes of Krishna. This is a special thing about Krishna Leela. What is the special thing about Krishna Leela? Krishna's childhood pastimes are described in detail. The Bhagavatam especially describes Krishna Leela in great detail. You compare all other cantos to the 10th canto. 10th canto is the biggest canto. 90 chapters, 90 chapters. Other cantos are relatively smaller. 12th canto is the smallest. And even second canto is quite small. First canto is also small. Third and fourth cantos are bigger than these other cantos. But 10th canto is the biggest because Shukadeva Goswami, on the request of Parikshit Maharaj, he is describing Krishna's pastimes elaborately. He's describing the various pastimes of Krishna, which he performed for about 125 years. Krishna appeared on this earth as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, and he performed his pastimes in all stages of his manifest presence, even as a just born infant. He instructed Vasudeva and Devaki that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead and I have appeared as your son because of your prayer. And then, seeing their anxiety to protect the child, he transformed himself into a small, just born baby. And this was known only to two people, Vasudeva and Devaki. Nobody else was witness to it. Nobody else was told about it. Nobody else knew this. So even later, when Krishna wanted to stop the atrocities of Kamsa, who tried to kill Krishna in so many ways. So Krishna decided to go from Vrindavan to Mathura. And he killed the demon Kamsa and released his mother and father, Vasudeva and Devaki, Devaki and Vasudeva, from the clutches of Kamsa's hands. So these are extraordinary pastimes because other than Vasudeva and Devaki, nobody knows Krishna is the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. For others, Krishna is the son of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. So, what is a cowherd boy doing in Mathura? He comes with his cowherd boyfriends, and then Kamsa, who was informed by Narada. Narada was very anxious that this demon Kamsa, he is dispatched to Yamaloka. He is killed. But why is Krishna delaying this killing? Narada knows Krishna has appeared for the sake of killing all these demons who had overburdened the earth. But why is Krishna delaying? And Kamsa is going on sending so many demons to Vrindavan to kill Krishna. And also, he's simply giving so much trouble to the Yadus in Mathura. So Kamsa, Narada wanted Krishna to just finish off this Kamsa. So Narada comes to Kamsa and tells him, actually the 8th child you thought is a baby girl. No, actually Kamsa came to know the baby girl is not the 8th child. It was destined to kill him. So, of course, Kamsa did not know where is the 8th child. But since Durga Devi, Yogamaya, informed Kamsa, the 8th child is born somewhere else. So then Kamsa thought, I'll somehow kill. But when Kamsa got the information from Narada that Krishna is that 8th child who's growing up in Vrindavan as the son of Nanda and Yashoda, then Kamsa made an entire plan to actually send so many demons to kill Krishna to Vrindavan. And the demons are coming while Krishna is playing with the cowherd boys. And Krishna is simply thinking that these demons are a nuisance, interruption for his playing with his cowherd boyfriends. And the cowherd boys, they are so absorbed in thinking of Krishna, playing with Krishna, serving Krishna. Not only the cowherd boys, the whole Vrindavan atmosphere is, they actually don't know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. Of course, they know. But their knowledge of Krishna as the Supreme Lord is covered by Yoga Maya. So that Krishna can actually perform his Leela in Vrindavan as just one of the members of the cowherd community of that Vrindavan community. So, they are so absorbed in love of Krishna. So every day They keep hearing about Krishna. They keep talking about Krishna. Their only topic of discussion is Krishna. Even when they are engaged in their ordinary household duties, they are discussing, thinking, talking, hearing about Krishna. The cowherd boys, they go for cowherding because that is their training they have to receive because they belong to the cowherd community. So they go with the calves in the beginning. Now before that they play with Krishna because all the small children, they gather together and play. Then when they are about 5 years old, then they are given these calves to train them for cowherding. So they are sent with the calves so the calves can graze in the pasturing grounds. And then later on when they grow up even more, they are given the cows. It is described in the Bhagavatam. 5-year-old Krishna was given along with the other 5-year-old boys of his age, who were his friends. They were given the calves. Then when Krishna became about 8 years old, the cowherd men decided, now we have to send these boys with cows. These are all leelas of Krishna simply for the sake of Ananda. So what is Krishna's description in the Vedanta Sutra? Anandamayo abhyasat. Anandamaya means full of Ananda. And abhyasat means all his activities, all his dealings are simply meant for Ananda. Ananda for whom? For himself, of course. And also for all his devotees, especially in Vrindavan. But his devotees are not just the devotees in Vrindavan. They are also devotees in Mathura. They are devotees in Dwaraka. There are devotees everywhere. Everywhere there are devotees of Krishna. So, all those devotees, he performs pastimes by which he enjoys with them transcendental pleasure, Ananda. So, he is not dependent on them for his pleasure, but he wants to share his pleasure, his unlimited pleasure in all his activities. He wants to share with them. So they become part of his activities. That is called Leela, Krishna Leela. Not only as Krishna, even as Vishnu, Narayana, in his various forms in the spiritual world, forms of Narayana, and his various incarnations in the material world, Narsimha, Vamana. So here, Krishna Leela is described by Shukadeva Goswami in detail because Parikshit is very inquisitive to hear about Krishna in detail. Why? Because Parikshit is a devotee of the Supreme Lord in his form as Krishna. In his form as Krishna. And Parikshit's association with Krishna begins in his mother's womb. How is that? When Ashwatthama released a Brahmastra to kill the last surviving descendant of the Pandu dynasty, that is the child in the womb of Uttara, Abhimanyu's wife, Uttara. So Parikshit is that small child in the womb of his mother. So when his life was in danger, Uttara, she approached Krishna that please save this child. Krishna entered the womb of Uttara. Krishna could have killed that, stopped that Brahmastra even without doing anything, just by his will, Satya Sankalpa. He can do that. But he personally entered the womb of Uttara. And he nullified the effect of that Brahmastra before it could kill the child. But he also gave a brief darshan to the small child. So Parikshit had darshan of Krishna in his mother's womb. Of course, the description is there in the Bhagavatam. Prahlad Maharaj was instructed by Narad Muni when Prahlad was in the womb of his mother. Of course, all the Leelas of the Supreme Lord are extraordinary. They are not like the activities of the living beings in this material world. They are completely extraordinary. But still, even among the extraordinary activities of the various incarnations of Supreme Lord, the most wonderful activities of the Supreme Lord are his activities in his form as the original personality of Godhead, Krishna. That is why Shukadeva Goswami describes Krishna Leela in great detail. Now you see the detail with which Shukadeva Goswami is now describing the killing of the Shakatasura demon. This demon, first of all, has appeared in the form of a cart. Who will suspect a cart is a demon? Form of a demon. Huh? If a demon appears as a ghastly a snake, Kalia, or a demon appears in the form of Bakasura, Aghasura, gigantic serpent, gigantic bird, that maybe it's not very difficult to understand. It's actually a demon in the form, some other form. But when the demon appears in the form of a cart, who can make out? Nobody can make out. But Krishna knows. Krishna knows everything. So even as a small infant, it is described here, when he was 3 months old, Mother Yashoda decided to perform one ceremony. That means 3 months old, the child which is lying on the floor or on the bed or the cradle tries to turn around. So in the Vedic culture, when the child is born, itself there is a big celebration. Janma Samskara, Jata Karma, the horoscope is prepared. And then when the child every stage of the growth of the child is celebrated. This is a Vedic culture. Now we only know that every year the child grows up. So the first birthday is on the day of the birth itself. The second birthday, when the child is 1 year old, celebrated. 2 years old, celebrated. So that is what is remaining of the vestigial Vedic culture. But actually, even before the child turns 1 year old, there are so many other celebrations. When the child starts turning, when the child develops this teeth, annaprashna, then the child is fed grains. So many such things. So this is called Utthana Utsava. That the child is trying to turn around. So that celebration Mother Yashoda planned, and she had invited the Brahmanas and all the neighbors for celebrating. Krishna is now 3 months old. So 3-month birthday. 3-month birthday. So then the child was, trying to fall asleep, and Mother Yashoda had so many things to do, to take care of the guests and to attend to the details of the celebration. So she put the child in the cradle and placed the cradle underneath a cart. In a hurry she did that. Not that she wanted to, carelessly leave the child there. No. In a hurry she did that. And this cart happened to be the demon who was there to kill the child, had come there to kill the child. Disguised as a cart. So Krishna, lying down there as a child, simply raised his 2 legs, limbs. And how soft and delicate were his legs? The comparison is Pravala Mrudu Angri Hatam. Pravala means leaf. It's like a new leaf, a tender leaf. Tender leaf. And Mrudu Angri, very, very soft like a tender leaf. Those legs, he lifted them and struck the cart. Because he was made to lie down on a cradle which was placed underneath the cart, which was full of little utensils made of various metals. And what happened? When his legs just touched the cart, it turned over violently and collapsed. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes that Krishna doesn't have to exert himself to kill demons. He describes in the Bhagavad Gita, Vinashaya cha dushkritam, I appear for protecting my devotees and killing the demons. So in his other incarnations, when he has to kill the demons, just like Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, when he had to defeat Bali Maharaj, he extended his body. First of all, he expanded his body as big as the whole universe, the universal form. He expanded to become as big as the universal form, Vishwarupa. And In that Vishwarupa, he stretched his left leg to cover the upper planetary systems above the earth. And he pierced the covering of the universe to demonstrate his power. You see, I am the Supreme Lord. Whereas, as Krishna, he is the Supreme Lord, of course. But to demonstrate his power, first of all, he doesn't want to demonstrate his power. Especially to the Brajavasis. Because they are so much absorbed in love for Krishna, they are not interested whether Krishna is the Supreme Lord, whether Krishna has got unlimited power. Supreme Lord means unlimited power. They are not interested in that. So, love dominates, and especially that love, Braja Bhakti, it is called Braja Bhakti. The devotion and the love the Brajavasis have for Krishna, for the Supreme Lord in his form as Krishna, that is extraordinarily wonderful. So it is a different category. Even in Krishna Leela, it's another category. And there is a category of bhakti exhibited by the Mathura Vasis, the devotees in Mathura Dham. That is Krishna as a prince. As a prince, he's just growing up. Right? He's just growing up. But even as a youth, in his youthful form, he's killing Kamsa. He's killing Kuvalaya Pida. He's killing Chanura, Mushtika. He and Balaram both, of course. So, this killing as a small child, nobody can even imagine. But killing as a young boy, say about 12 years old. He was about 12 years old when he went to Mathura. 12-year-old boy killing that huge elephant, killing those wrestlers who were strongly, big build. So that is again very extraordinary in his incarnation as Krishna. And his extraordinary pastimes in Dwaraka are even also more special than his activities in his other incarnations. That he exhibited his Leela as the king of Dwaraka. But Dwaraka is actually a small province in the entire Bharatvarsha. And the actual emperor of the entire earth planet is somebody else, not Krishna. Krishna, who is the Lord of the entire creation, is appearing as a king of a small province. But the Leela he performs there are not even seen among the Leelas of the other incarnations. Even in his incarnation as Rama, he married Sita Devi. One wife. But it's the incarnation as Krishna, as the king of Dwarka. He married 16,108 queens. In history, there is no account given of somebody marrying 16,108 queens, any king marrying like that. So, like that, Krishna Leela is special, but it is not surprising that Krishna, as a king of Dwarka, he killed some other demoniac natured kings. That's not very surprising. So more astonishing is that as a prince he killed so many demons like Kamsa and his associates. Even more surprising is that effortlessly he killed the demons who came to Vrindavan in the shape of the gigantic bird, Bakasura, or the gigantic snake, Python, Aghasura. And even more surprising is as an infant child, he killed Putana, Trinavarta, Chakatasura. And anyway, his killing Putana, nobody could understand. Even the Brajavasis, they thought Vishnu has protected the child against the demoness. And Chakatasura, nobody even knows there's a demon in the form of a cart. The cart just fell apart. So that's why the description is here that the wheels separated from the axle, completely broken to pieces. The entire cart, huge cart. The hubs and spokes fell apart. The wheels are separated from the axle. But even the parts of the wheel, a wheel is made up of a rim with spokes, and there is a axle connecting the two wheels on which the cart is moving, is built. So the hubs and spokes fell apart. The pole of the handcart was also broken. The pole of the handcart was also broken. So completely shattered to pieces. Just by Krishna lifting his leg and touching the cart. As a 3-month-old baby. And whose legs are as soft and delicate as tender leaves, newly grown leaves of a small plant. So this is Krishna Leela. And therefore, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. This is the declaration of the Bhagavatam. Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. Bhagavan. Original personality of Godhead. And his Leelas are completely different than the Leelas exhibited in his various other forms in the spiritual world as Narayana, or other incarnations in the material world as Narsimha, Vamana, etc. Even though Vamana disguised himself as a small brahmachari boy, dwarf. Vamana means one who is very, very small and short. Still, in order to defeat Bali Maharaj, he expanded himself into his universal form. Then there is no doubt who is this personality. Everybody comes to know. Oh, He is the Supreme Lord. Demons can expand their body to display their gigantic form as demons. Like Putana. After she was killed, 12 miles long body. Correct? Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. So powerful demons. They exhibited their gigantic form. But the Lord appeared as Vamana. He had to exhibit his universal form to measure the entire universe in 2 steps. So even that's a Leela, but still, it's not difficult to understand that the Supreme Lord has appeared as Vamana. Whereas in the case of Krishna, even Rama, he appeared like an ordinary human being, but he exhibited some wonderful pastimes as a king, as a prince, to marry Sita Devi, young boy. He broke that Shiva Dhanus. This is Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of God. Whereas Krishna, he does not always exhibit his power by making others known he is the Supreme Lord. That is Krishna Leela. That is Krishna Leela. So therefore, Krishna Leela is very, very special. And that's the speciality of the Bhagavatam. That Bhagavatam describes the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his various incarnations, of course, but specially describes in detail his activities or his leelas as Krishna. And that also in detail, Krishna Leela in Vrindavan, in Mathura and Dwaraka. All are extraordinary. But one is more extraordinary than the other, even between the 3 of these categories of Leelas. Mathura is more extraordinary than Dwaraka Leela. And Vrindavan is the most extraordinary. So these are confidential portions of the devotional literature. Even in devotional literature, there is confidential portions of this devotional literature, bhakti literature, which the non-devotees have no access to this even. That's why confidential. Bhakti literature is confidential. But even in this confidential literature, there is confidential, more confidential, most confidential. So therefore, this description in detail about this Krishna Leela is being given by Vyasadeva and narrated by Shukadeva Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj. Now Shukadeva Goswami had no plan to narrate in detail. Briefly he described Krishna's appearance and his Leelas in brief at the end of the 9th canto, 24th chapter. Like he has described all other pastimes. Even though seventh canto is almost entirely devoted to describing Narsimha Leela. But the glorification is more of Prahlad Maharaj than of Narsimha. Please remember this, note this very carefully. Whose glorification is more? Narsimha or Prahlada? Narsimha himself glorifies Prahlada. Whereas here, the description of Krishna Leela, of course, Shukadeva Goswami wants to glorify Krishna, the maximum. But Krishna Leela is also extraordinary that Krishna wants to glorify his devotees. Krishna wants to glorify his devotees. So therefore, the 10th canto contains the description of the glories of Krishna and his devotees. That is another speciality of Bhagavatam. There are other devotional literature which either glorify the Lord or glorify his devotees. But there is no literature, even among devotional literatures, which glorify the Lord and his devotees extraordinarily. There is no literature other than the Bhagavatam. There is no literature. The entire universe, Prabhupada says, the whole universe, there is no literature like Bhagavatam. So, therefore, we have to study very nicely the Bhagavatam. And therefore, Prabhupada has written elaborate purports. Shukadeva Goswami is described in elaborate detail, Krishna Leela. Acharyas have written special commentaries. In fact, this Vaishnava Toshani, last point, I'll close after this. Vaishnava Toshani gives the detail how the cart broke. The hand cart was higher than the child, and the child's legs could not have reached the hand cart, the pole of the hand cart. The cart is lying like this. It is separated from the bulls or the oxen which are pulling the cart. Right? So, the child lifted its leg. It's a 3-month-old child. Delicate legs. Lifted his child. Even to touch that top of the pole of the cart is not possible for the child. So, Vaishnava Toshani, although the hand cart was higher than the child and the child's legs could not reach, the child could easily touch the wheel of the cart, and this was sufficient to send the demon down to the earth. Finished. Demon is finished. Just by touching one part of the demon's body in the form of the cart, the wheel. So, even though Krishna as a small baby could not extend his legs to even touch any part of the cart because he's lying in a cradle. Baby is lying in a cradle. 3-month-old baby. So, legs could not have touched the cart at all. Impossible. But he touched the cart is completely shattered into so many pieces. Completely destroyed. The cart is destroyed. That is bewildering to all the Brajavasis, all the coward men and women. How could this cart have, broken like this? So some children who were playing there, they described the child lifted its legs and it touched the wheel, and what these children are describing, some foolish children, something they are telling. The Brajavasis would dismiss the children's descriptions. The children are observing very carefully and they are describing accurately. They are not cooking up stories. Okay? to glorify Krishna? Nothing. They are small children. They were standing there seeing Krishna, baby, cute baby. And they described what happened. So like this is called confidential. And among the confidential bhakti literature, the most confidential is Krishna's Leela, description Krishna Leela. And even in most confidential Krishna Leela, Dwarka Leela, Mathura Leela, Vrindavan Leela, more confidential than the most confidential. And even more confidential than the more confidential than the most confidential. Like that, the Dwarka Leela, Mathura Leela, Vrindavan Leela. That's the presentation of this most confidential Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.